Hi everybody and welcome to lesson 3 with me, Dr. Chris, and I hope you're well. We've got loads to do today and we're going to start off with an exercise, a little bit of a warm-up, I guess, to get us thinking about music. But before I do, you probably have noticed that I've changed my piano today. I'm very lucky that the people at Casio have very kindly lent me this. This is a different piano to the one I had before. This is what they call a CDP S90, and it's designed for beginning students. Really, I guess they tell me of all ages. I've been playing it a bit and I really like it, so I hope you enjoy that today. But let's get into this and have a look at what's on screen right now. I'm going to ask you first of all to think about the rhythm, and then we're going to play the notes on the piano. So here we go. Have a look at that rhythm. There shouldn't be anything there that you haven't seen before. And I'll just give you a couple of seconds to look through that, and then we're going to clap it together. Okay, are you ready? All right, let's try this then. So reading, of course, left to right as usual. We're going to do both bars, and here we go. I'll count you in with 4 beats, and then if you could join in with me clapping the rhythm. Okay, here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that's the rhythm. Now let's take a look at the notes. All right, what's the first note that we have to play here? Yeah, it's actually middle C, isn't it? This one here. And middle C on our piano is there. Okay, so again, I'll give you just a couple of seconds maybe to have a look at the notes. Try and work out what they'd be. Okay, all right. Well, if you've got to the end, well done. If you haven't, don't worry. I'm going to go through it with you. So the first note there, of course, was our C, and we'll probably use our thumb for that one. And this is the answer. Okay, here we go. It was 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, now don't worry if you didn't get that right. Of course, when this live lesson is finished, you can always pause and go back and have another look at it. But before we leave that, I've got one more thing to show you with this. I'm going to just alter the display slightly. Okay, and now what I've done is, as you can see, I've added some phrase marks. Now we have talked about phrase marks. How will those markings there change the way we play? Well, the answer is it means that we're going to join some notes together, and some other notes we're going to make sure they're separate. If I just show you the first bar, what I'm going to do with the first bar here is, of course, the first 2 notes would be joined together. So I'd start with middle C, and then I would make sure that the following note, the D, is played with no gap, like this. And then notes 3 and 4, their D and E, again, they be joined together like this. So if I played the whole bar, it would sound like this. And did you hear how I went into the second bar, of course? And because we've got that long phrase mark, sometimes called a slur, but a long phrase mark there, underneath all those notes in the second bar, they were all joined together. I'll play it for you once more, and look at the first bar and try and notice where the phrase marks end, and the ending notes will be cut shorter. So as you can see, phrase marks make a big difference to what we're going to play, and we're going to come on to phrase marks a bit later on. Let's go on now to Salley Gardens. Okay, you may remember that that was a piece we were looking at for the last couple of lessons. By the way, have you managed to get hold of your ABRSM Grade 1 book yet? You may have bought the actual book. It's a lovely book. I like it very much. Or you could, of course, go onto their website and pay to download just the copy that you need and print it off at home. It's great. You can do both things. So if you've managed to get either the book or the copy, fantastic. If you haven't quite yet, don't worry, you won't need it for this lesson. But as we go forward, these will become really important. So let's take a look at Salley Gardens. And what I'm going to do first of all for you is just recap where I left you in lesson 2 last week. So firstly, here is the right hand of Salley Gardens, and I'm going to try and play it with the right phrasing and the right dynamics, just to give you a flavour of perhaps, if you have been working on it, where you should be. And here we go, just with the right hand, and we've got, of course, got 3 beats of rests before we start to play. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's where we got to. I would say perhaps the most important thing to think about, of course, is accuracy of the notes and the rhythms, but also, did you notice how I tried to make those phrases smooth and joined together? That's really important. Now, it may well be that you're working on it and you haven't quite got it to that speed. That's fine. Feel free to play it slower if you want to. What we're really aiming for is fluent, accurate. It doesn't have to be quite so fast if you're not quite there yet. But that's the right hand. Now, the left hand, let's move on to the left hand. You may remember that we worked on this last time, I think it was. We looked at the left hand, and I think I said, go and have a practice. I hope you have. If not, don't worry, because I'm going to share it with you right now. Okay, so here's the left hand, and it goes like this. We're going to put our thumb, first of all, on G. Okay, G is here. There it is. Okay, and of course, we said that the left hand, we're going to start, really it starts in bar number 5. So I'm going to play from bar number 5. That's the bar that you've got on the screen. Okay, so the first bar on screen is bar 5. If you've got the music, it'll make more sense. Okay, here we go. Here's the left hand. I'm going to count in with 4 beats, and then the first following beat will be that rest that we see on screen. 1, 2, 3, play. 1. Okay, there we go. Perhaps we'll do that again. Would you like to join in with me this time? Okay, let's do some left hand playing together, perhaps a bit slower. Okay, so we'll do exactly the same thing. And here's thumb again on the G we need. And are you ready? Okay, I'll count you in the same way. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. Okay, great. Do watch out for those long notes, particularly that 4-beat note that we have there. It's very, very easy when you get a long note to miscount it slightly and play it too short. It's almost like you think, oh, it's a long note, that's fine. We actually need to count every beat there. Okay, so that's the left hand. Now, what I want to do today is actually think about how to do hands together. Okay, because by now, hopefully, you've got a good idea of the right hand, a good idea of the left hand, but how do you play them together? Well, I've got 2 ideas for you. Let's first of all show you a little bit of the music played hands together. Now, what you're looking at here is what we have in the music. If you have a copy of the music now, we're actually going to be starting from, again, bar 5. It's the second line of the music, okay, bar 5. Now, I've already played what you see here on screen. So the idea is, well, how do you actually work on playing both those together? Well, the first thing you can do is make sure that you can play the right hand and the left hand separately really well. And that's the golden rule. It has to be secure before you try to do it hands together. What you could also do, if you've got digital piano, or perhaps you've got some way of recording the sound of what you play, you could record one hand and then play that back while you try the other hand. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead now and record the right hand. I'm going to play the right hand, have a look through it, but then I'm going to ask you not to copy what I do. You're going to play the left hand, all right? I'll do the right, you do the left, and hopefully it'll work out. Let's have a go. Okay, nice and slowly. Let me show you the right hand first of all. Okay, so imagine it's you playing this and you've got some way of recording it. Okay, we could do it like this. Here's the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Okay, so I've recorded that in, let's imagine, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the left hand, okay? Well, actually, you are right now, okay? Going to give you a go at the right hand. So you're going to be doing something that's different to me. So I will play both hands at the same time. All I would like you to do is just focus on that left hand, okay? Okay, so let's try this, and then I'll explain about how it worked afterwards. Are you ready? Get your left hand, and we're going to play from bar number 5, okay? Okay, so you're doing left hand. After 4 beats, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, so that was both hands together, hopefully with you playing the left hand, and you obviously saw me and heard me play both hands. Now, if you'd recorded your right hand to start with, you could then use the piano to play it back whilst you tried the left hand. And the great thing about that is, of course, using the playback facility on your piano, you can hear both hands, even though you are only playing one at a time. The alternative way of doing this is actually the ABRSM, who we're very lucky to have partnered with for these lessons, actually have a fantastic app called the Piano Practice app. And I'll put a link to the Piano Practice app in the description of today's video. If you go ahead and download that, you can actually find the recording of Salley Gardens. What's really clever is that you are able to mute either the left hand or the right hand. So keep one going and play along live with the app. Really clever stuff, and we might use that in later lessons. The other technique that you can do is actually to try both hands at the same time and do it pretty much beat by beat, okay? So here's the music hands together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to block out everything except the first 2 beats. So we're going to try this. Look, we've got a C in the right hand, and we've also got the G in the left hand. So we go, ready, play, 1. And you can say, yep, that's great. I'll try the rest of the bar. So let's try the rest of the bar. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2. Okay. And see if you can do it maybe 3 times in a row. Okay, I'll do it once more for you. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can see there that actually by blocking out the parts that we're not going to play, we're doing it bar by bar. It makes things a lot more straightforward. We can really focus in on getting just a small section of the music correct. It's really important when you do that to try and play it a few times in a row. And the other thing I'd say is you can always tell when notes in both hands should be played at the same time. Because, for example, if you take a look at beat number 4 in bar number 1, you can see there that I've got a C in the right hand and a D in the left hand. And they are vertically aligned with each other. And that's how we know that both of those notes should be played on beat 4 at the same time. Okay, so good luck with playing hands together. I'll play it for you one more time with both hands so you can see how it goes. And of course, you can rewind the video, practice one hand, rewind it, play along with me again using the other hand. So you've got loads of practice goes. Here's bars 5 to beginning of 9, isn't it? Bar to 5 to 9, both hands together. Okay, 1, 2, ready, go. The other piece we were doing, of course, was Parson's Farewell. And we had a look last week at some of the right hands, okay? In fact, we looked at bars 1 to 8 in the right hand. There it is on screen. And a couple of things to say about this. Well, of course, it's got loads of articulation, hasn't it? If I just play you the first line, okay? Listen to, do you remember we talked about phrasing at the beginning of today and how we phrased 2 notes together? And the end of each phrase, the note at the end of each phrase needs to be shorter. Listen to how we can use that idea in Parson's Farewell. So listen to the phrasing and also watch out. I wonder if you can tell me where the black key is in the first line. Well, the answer is, of course, that there is a sharp just at the end of the line here. It's a C sharp. So maybe you can follow the music and see when I play the C sharp. Here we go. Okay. So not too quickly. We're going to begin with the 4th finger on F, this note here. Have a listen to the first line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can hear their phrasing, and did you catch the C sharp? Okay, great. So let's take a look at the music. And whoops, we'll need that for later on. Let's just pop that there. I'm going to play you a little bit more music now than we've been doing together. I'm going to show you, in actual fact, bars 1 to 8 hands together because I'd like us to move on today to look at some left hand. So here's bars 1 to 8 of Parson's Farewell with the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all right. So that's roughly how bars 1 to 8 should go. I slowed things down quite a lot there for practice purposes. But that's hands together. Now what we're going to do today is have a look at some of the left hand. But before we do, a little exercise for you. Okay, take a look at this. I would like you to read that for me. Okay, a little bit of sight reading for you in the left hand. Can you first of all clap the rhythm? Okay. What are these funny squiggles here? Yeah, they're 1 beat rests. Okay, so watch out for those. Okay, do you want to clap this with me? Okay, counting you in. Let's just go for it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all right. Now turn to your keyboard or your piano, and I'd like you to try and play some of these notes. Now we're in the F clef, and you may have already recognize that a lot of those notes, not all of them, but some of them, are your signpost notes. We've got signpost F and we've got signpost C. Here's signpost F, here's signpost C. Okay, are you ready? Okay, now I have to confess, I'm setting you up here because there's one thing I haven't talked about, and there's a symbol right at the beginning of the music. Okay, that's actually a flat sign. Okay, remember we talked about flats? We said that flats were also black keys, but they're the black keys to the left of the main key. Okay, so in this case, can you see how that flat sign, that's actually on, if you worked it out, that would be the B line. Okay, a flat on the B line. If you count down from F, you'll eventually get to B. Okay, so that flat sign is what's called a key signature, and it tells you that every B that you see, there's one here on the music. That doesn't have to be B white key. It's actually B flat. So when you get to that note, I want you to play B flat and not B natural. Okay, are you ready? So here's the answer. Can you see finger 1 on F? Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here it is one more time. Okay, thumb on F. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's the answer. And if you managed that, well done. That's really good sight reading. If you managed a couple of notes, don't worry. Again, it will probably take a bit of practice. But the important thing there is to think about your key signature and how it alters that B to B flat. Because we're going to need to remember that for Parson's Farewell. Because if you have a look at the key signature in Parson's Farewell, it's the same thing. It's a B flat. Okay. So here is the left hand for Parson's Farewell. Okay. Now I'm going to go through this and I'm going to leave it up to you to try and work it out for me this week. I guess what we could do together, we've probably got just enough time to clap it. Okay. So let's clap the rhythm of the left hand together. Are you ready? Okay. Nothing there we haven't seen before. So let's try this. Okay. Clap the left hand for me. Here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, great. Now I'm going to play you that left hand and you can see how it works. I would say if I was going to give you a few hints on this, I'd say look at the fingers. Can you see we've got finger 3 and what's that first note here? Okay, well the answer is it's D. And it's D, of course, 2 steps below the F line, which is there. Okay, so here is the left hand, and have a listen, have a look, and see if you can practice it over the next few days. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so fingering is really, really important there. So good luck with that, and I look forward to sharing some more with you on that next week. Now, just one more thing before I go, and that is I'm going to sort of talk about what's coming next. Of course, we do have a new piece to look at for next lesson, but I'm going to introduce it very briefly right now. Now, you may have wondered that, of course, there are actually up to 88 keys here on the piano, but of course, the musical lines that we use won't actually accommodate 88 different steps. So you may have thought, well, how do you get around that in music? If you wanted to play up really high, what would you do? Well, let me show you this next screen. So this next screen here, if you don't worry about the little square bracket over the top, I'm just going to play those 4 notes. Okay, the square bracket is really important, but let's just play those 4 notes. I wonder if you can work out what they are for me, actually. Okay, well, one step above the G line, of course, is A. So all we've got there is A, B, C, and D. Now, the square bracket that you can see, the dotted square bracket thing there with the 8VA, which, by the way, means ottava in Italian. Now, ottava means octave. An octave basically means going up a series of notes. So if we have an A here, up an octave would be the following A higher up in this case. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's where we get the octave from, as in octagon or octopus. Okay, 8 legs or 8 sides. In this case, we've got 8 keys. So A, up an octave. Play this with me. Thumb on A, up to A. Okay, now play thumb on B, go up the octave. Now thumb on C, go up the octave. Well done. One more. Thumb on D, go up the octave. That's it. Okay, so you're going up 8 notes every time. And that's essentially what that dotted line means, the dotted ottava 8VA line means. It essentially means play whatever you see an octave higher. So that's one way we get to those higher notes on the piano. The other way is actually by using what we call ledger lines. Now, we used the ledger line last week. Remember when we looked at the right hand of Parson's Farewell? Right at the end, we had an A. If you think about the last 2 notes of Parson's Farewell, it goes A and then top A, okay, or higher A. And that A was using a ledger line. And that's what I'm going to show you now. Okay, so we've already seen the A where I've written the star, but we can keep going. Look, B, C, and D, like that. Okay, so this week, have a little play, see if you can find those particular notes on your piano. Okay, starting with A here, where I've written the star. Okay. Now, the reason I've done this today is because I'm going to finish off by playing you our 3rd piece. This 3rd piece I absolutely love, and it's by a composer called John Armstrong. John Armstrong is a fantastic writer of really nice pieces that appeal really to all age groups, and they just sound so lovely. I'm going to play you this piece of music. It's called Sunlight Through the Trees. So there you go, Sunlight Through the Trees, and I'm really excited to be sharing this next piece with you with our next lesson. We're going to finish off today actually by inviting a very special guest onto our lesson series, a gentleman called John Holmes. John Holmes is the chief examiner for the ABRSM. And of course, one of the great things that the ABRSM do are hold music exams. Now, you may be thinking, well, a music exam isn't for me, but I would really encourage you to think about that. John's got some really great ideas as to why a music exam would perhaps be a really great thing to do. So, over to John at the ABRSM.
Hello, I'm John Holmes, ABRSM Chief Examiner, and I just want to have an opportunity to spend a few minutes introducing ABRSM as an organisation to you, and just talking a little about the partnership between ABRSM and Casio and how this might be beneficial to your learning and progress as you work through the piano lessons with Chris. First, who are we? ABRSM, well, founded a long time ago, over 130 years ago. We're the world's leading provider of music exams and one of the UK's largest publishers of music. What's our mission? And I think this is where our conversation is relevant: inspiring musical achievement. ABRSM supports teaching and learning of music in partnership with 4 Royal Schools of Music. You can see their logos underneath there: Royal Academy of Music, Royal College of Music in London, Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester, and the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland in Glasgow. Well, what interest is there for you in Chief Examiner of ABRSM talking to you and connecting with what you're doing on the Casio program? Well, I want to talk about the connections between motivation, progression, attainment, and assessment. I think that's a sort of way in here. I think we'd all agree with the principle of feedback leads to improved performance. That's how lessons and learning and teaching and progression, that's how they work. A bit of input on one side, a bit of feedback, and then some work behind the scenes, and then so it goes on, a kind of a loop of feedback and improvement. We say a similar thing: effective assessment helps sustain progression. So we all want to get better. We all want to know that we're getting better. We all want to know how well we're doing, and we all want to strive for how far can we go. And that's what's really here on the screen in front of you. So at the moment, motivation to learn, that spurs progression together with some inputs and teaching, practice, learning. You get to a point where you reach a higher level. You're not an absolute beginner, you've moved on the journey, or from that point you've carried on further still. But at some time it's helpful to have an assessment of how you're doing, where you're at, and particularly with feedback that provides guidance as to strengths and development areas. So they're inextricably connected, and our role and our world is very much one of the assessment of music making. And I thought I might just share with you the 5 sort of senses of music making, the ingredients of music making that we use in order to gauge and track progress and attainment. First of all, pitch and time, a sense of pitch and a sense of time. Pitch is to do with the notes, the A, B, C, the B flat, E flat, all those sort of things. It's about the accuracy. It's about how well they're defined, the clarity from note to note without them overlapping where we don't want, a sensitive use of the pedal and those sort of things to make sure that everything is accurate and clear. Time, sense of time. What do we mean when we say, gosh, that playing had a really great sense of time? It's to do with control of everything that's inside the time frame of music. It plays against a canvas of unfolding time. Suitability of the tempo, it's to do with the pulse, it's to do with rhythm patterns, it's to do with the time signature and the meter, all those sort of things. That's what we mean when we talk about a sense of time. And we have to control that in our playing. Here are 3 more senses: sense of tone, sense of shape, and a sense of performance. And these are the 5 senses of music that, as assessors of musical performance, we're using as gauges of how well things are going. What about tone, sense of tone? That's about using the sound, the voice of the instrument. It's to do with timbre, and it's to do with a range of different possibilities. Piano is almost like an orchestra of different sounds, and pulling those out and blending them well, using them sensitively, is about control and sense of tone. Sense of shape is something that's inside the music. Every melody has a direction. Phrases have punctuation, they have cadences, and all music has some sort of structure. It has an architecture. So it's about understanding all those things and making shape with what began as just dots and notes, gluing them together, stringing them along, making sure that they're heading in a direction. So it's about the effectiveness of that. That's what we mean by a sense of shape. That singer conveyed a beautiful sense of shape, or that left-hand melody was beautifully directed, had a real sense of shape. And of course, sense of performance is the musician's craft. It's about communication. It isn't about practice. It's not about run through. Ultimately, it is about giving. It's interesting. We use the word giving a performance. You give it outwards. What is that about? Well, it's about how well you command the music and everything that's coming from it. It's about your involvement, your understanding. But above all, I guess it's about outward communication and your relationship with the listener. So we assess that as well as part of our 5 senses of music making. So to finish with, I just want to say how delighted we are to be in partnership with Casio as an organization, but of course, by proxy with you as learners. And we just wanted to have the opportunity to say how we can support you in your own learning and progress through our digital and published products. That's to say apps and other things, as well as books and digital publications. Our assessments and our exams, both live and recorded, are absolutely part of that positive circle that I showed in terms of motivation, progression, assessment and achievement. And we want to stay in regular contact with you through your work with Chris. And from next week, a colleague of mine called Russell Hattlewhite will be joining you for a short episode at the end of each lesson to help connect what we are able to offer with your work through Casio with Chris and the lessons that you're having with him. So I'd like to say good luck on your journey. It's a wonderful world of music learning, and what better time to do it when so many other things are closed down to us. We're here with you and for you, and we very much look forward to that continuing partnership through our relationship as 2 organisations between Casio and ABRSM. All the very best, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, John. What some really great ideas there. And let's try and see if we can get our 3 pieces ready for an ABRSM exam in the next few weeks. I'd be really excited to help you along that way. So let's try it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today, and I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson. Enjoy your music, and see you soon.